Hello and welcome to the Matrix Fitness live workout. My name's Matt Gleed, I'm the Matrix Master Trainer, and today we're going to take you through a conditioning workout where we're going to try and challenge you for a little bit of strength work, a little bit of core work, and some great fitness work as well. We've got 3 rounds of exercise. I have got a mat nearby me for our second round of exercises, which will make it a little bit more comfortable when we go down to the floor. But we will get you warmed up, take you through all 3 rounds of exercises, and then have a little bit of yoga at the end just to help stretch out some of the muscles that you've been working. Let's begin by warming you up, and then we'll get going into the main body of the workout. So to begin with, just start to reach your arms across your body, start to create almost like a little stretch, starting to activate through the shoulders, the back, and through the chest muscles as we just take this mobility movement. Next up, what we're going to do is be pivoting off our feet, and we're going to just rotate around from side to side. Now, when you're going through these rotations, we're just looking to create a bit of mobility, not only for your ankle, your hips, and upper spine, but just starting to get you to whole body to move and just engage a few of these muscles as well. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to take you into a little bit of a squat. So we're going to take your feet a little bit outside of shoulder width, and we're just going to lower your hips down as low as you feel comfortable and bring yourself back up. Now, when you're going into these squats, it's just about progressing down a little bit lower just to challenge that range of movement. If it feels good, you can get after it. And if it starts to feel like it's uncomfortable in any way, just reposition your feet and find a little bit more of a comfortable range of movement for you as well. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to take you into a lunge position. So we're going to bring your feet together. You're going to take a large step back, lower the back knee down towards the floor, push yourself back up, and we're going to alternate this from one leg over to the other as well. So just take your time, lowering that knee down towards the floor. If you feel like it's a comfortable movement for you, you can start to bring that speed up already. This will help get a little bit of blood into the muscles that you're going to be working. And at the same time, just start to increase that range of movement a little bit lower. You can see I'm starting to use my arms as well here. This will give me a little bit of stability and just create that little bit of a counterbalance. So as I lower myself down, I've got something coming back up in front of me to maintain that position as well. Okay, let's start to get your heart rates up a little bit more. So I want you to imagine you've got a skipping rope, and all we're going to do is just get you to push off the floor. Now, when we're going into these skipping positions, all we're looking for here is to get your heart rate up, to get you pushing off the floor, because I do have a few options to give you the availability to try and challenge your fitness today by pushing off the floor and going into some jumps. However, I will give you alternatives all the time as well. Let's take this jumping action from side to side. Our very last exercise today is going to be a big dynamic side-to-side movement. So I want to build up to that by starting straight away and preparing your body for some dynamic movement as well. Let's just start to scissor those feet forwards and backwards. This will continue to get your heart rate up and also just help you start to push off the floor and get you changing positions quickly. Everything we do is purposely designed to help build up your fitness and to try and challenge you bit by bit. Okay, now just relax out your body. Just loosen everything up. Bring yourself into a fighting stance. I want you to jab, cross, jab. And we're going to take a little spin of 180 degrees. And again, jab, cross, jab with the other hands as well. Okay? So as we start to push through these, I want you to pivot off your feet, connecting your feet all the way through the body to your fist. So as you strike those punches out in front of you, it's much more about connecting the whole body and building you up just so that you can start to progressively punch with a little bit more power and integrate all of the muscles all the way up through the core into this dynamic movement with the upper body as well. Last couple. Good work. Okay, and just loosen those arms up for me again. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to take you into a pivot position over to one side. Reach your hands high and drive your knee up 3 times on one side. Then pivot your feet over to the opposite side. And again, reach your hands up high, driving your knees up. And we're just going to do 3 on each side a few more times. This is a nice dynamic movement to help build you up into some of our progressions that we're going to have a look at later on. But you'll feel your heart rate staying up. And this big range of movement not only gets your arms and legs moving at the same time, but it gets you mobilizing for all the key joints as we go through some of these exercises. Great stuff. Okay, loosen yourself up. Let me show you the first exercise that we're going to have a look at today. And ironically, we've already done it in our warm-up. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a squat and then a reverse lunge on each leg. And then we're going to repeat back into that squat. So join in with me. We'll be doing 45 seconds of work. And then we're going to take 15 seconds break between each exercise. I'm going to keep you working as much as we can today. If you feel like you need a rest at any time, then please take one and just join back in when you feel comfortable again. If you've got a drink nearby and you want to take a drinks break at any time, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to try and keep the tempo of the workout going, but you pick the intensity you want to join in with. Each time you go into that squat, we're trying to keep your back straight. And every time you go into that lunge in a very similar way, these are actually basic exercises that we can always come back to. Okay, stop there. We'll give your breath a little bit of chance to come back down again, a little false sense of security because we are going to push you again. Let me show you the next exercise. Hinging from your hips, you walk yourself forwards and then come back into that walkout. So this is called a squat walkout. Let's get you working. So each time you walk your hands forwards into that press up position, walk your hands back into a deep squat, bring yourself up, back down, and then repeat it. So it's all about maintaining the depth of the squat at the bottom of the movement, starting to build your arms and therefore your upper body into a nice movement where we're starting to combine upper and lower body together. I think I missed out the stand up point. So bring yourself into that squat position, stand up, back down, and then repeat. Okay, last one, and rest there, relax out. Next exercise is called a kick sit. This is where you're going to bring your hands down to the floor. You're going to kick your foot through in between your foot and your arms, come back into the center, and then over to the opposite side. So let's get you moving on this one. Now, if you find that this is quite a tight movement for you, lift one hand off the floor, and that will create a little bit more range of movement for you to kick your foot through and underneath as well. So trying to keep that range of movement, but if you want a little bit more range, taking the hand off the floor just creates a little bit of space for you to pivot on your foot and kick your foot all the way across, and you can sit down next to your hand. And that's all we're looking to do. The last 10 seconds of movement here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to repeat all three of those exercises. And you can start to challenge yourself by moving a little bit quicker between them and pushing yourself a little bit more. Okay, relax out there. Shake yourself out. You've got 10 seconds of recovery. And then what we do is we go back into that squat and reverse lunge. So let's get you ready, starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's go into that squat, the reverse lunges. Now, you should be starting to feel familiar with these exercises, as this is the third time we've done these. So start to pick up the speed if you can. If you wanted, you could take that into a jumping lunge and back to the squat. So you've got the option to progress the exercises, or stay with me and I'll just do the simple form until the end now. With just 15 seconds left to go, you pick the intensity that feels comfortable for you. Again, we want to challenge you if you can, but at the same time, you've still got another 20 minutes of exercise to come. So pace yourself if you feel like you might need to. Okay, relax there. Next exercise is the walkouts into the squat. So remember to stand up each time. We start into that hinge position where you lean forwards, then walk your hands forwards into that plank position, walk yourself back into the deep squat, stand, and then join me as we carry on with these exercises now. So a deep squat position, stand up, come back to that squat, then walk yourself out. Now, if you want to pick up the speed on this, then feel free to. I really don't mind you challenging me without me knowing about it and see how many more times you can overtake my movement. As long as the quality of your movement is good and your form is strong, that's absolutely fine. You pick the intensity that suits you. I'm just going to keep ticking over so that you can see the technique, see the range of movement, and follow with me or push yourself. That's absolutely fine. Okay, relax there. Let's get you ready for those kick sits. So hands on the floor or one hand on the floor as you kick your feet through. So think about sitting down next to your hands, and that will help your form and technique here as well. Let's bring the hands down to the floor, kick through, lift the hand if you feel like you need to. Remember that what this does, it just creates a little bit more range of movement. Now, one of the other options you've got is not letting your hips touch the floor, where you're just suspended between the foot and the hand. So you can pivot through and pick up the speed here, or you can sit yourself down, straighten through the spine, and just take a moment just to check in on your technique as well. So you pick the intensity, 15 seconds. I'm just looking for you to do as much work as possible. This will complete the first round, and then we'll move on to our mats, where we've got a little bit more core focused work coming up. Okay, relax there. Let's get our mats ready. If you haven't got a mat, a towel or jumper can be useful as well. However, if you're on the carpets at home, you might not find that you need anything as well. So the first exercise we're going to do is a side plank. So we're going to stack your feet together, elbow on underneath the shoulder, reach up into a side plank. Now from the side plank, I want you to rotate underneath your body and bring yourself back up tall. And we're going to keep repeating these, but take your time and just check in with your form at the top of each movement. Have your hips extended? Are you holding tall before you repeat again? Well done. So just take your time, reach underneath the body, hold that position strong, and then back up into that really strong position. If you need to have a little breather anytime, you can do. Obviously, we're doing one side at the moment, which means that we will be doing the opposite side on our second round, and relax there. The next exercise we're going to do is called a boat pose to a star. So what happens on this one is I want you to sit tall on the bottom of your hips. So this is called your seat bones. Reach your arms out in front of you, straighten your spine. Lift your feet up so you're balancing. I want you to extend out into a star and then bring yourself back to that balanced position. So extend out, bring yourself back in. Now, if you've had a go at that and you're finding that that balanced position is a little challenging, you can rest your heels onto the floor just to give you a little bit more control as well. Now, each time you come back to the center, think about a bit of string pulling you up from your head to the ceiling, where you get a really tall, straight spine again. So you pick the intensity you want to work with. Alternatively, if you find that balance is really a problem, you can rest your heels and your hands onto the floor. And if you wanted to, just hold this position and just see if you can start to lower yourself back. So you pick the intensity that suits you. Now, the third exercise we're going to do in this round, we're going to turn over onto your front and we're going to go into a high plank position. Now, from here, what's going to happen is you're going to reach towards your toes, touch your toe, return back to this plank position, and then alternate to the opposite side. So let's get going on this one. Reach towards your toes, reset yourself into that strong position, and then alternate to the opposite side. Now, each time you reach for the toes, I want you to find that mobility. And if you find that it's a bit of a struggle, don't worry about reaching for the toes. Just reach down the mat a little bit further. So you pick the range of movement that feels comfortable to you again. But each time, I want you to return back to that really strong plank position. Now, you've got just over 5 seconds to go. And I'll give you a progression on the second round of these as well, just so you can challenge yourself if you'd like to. Let's get you set up for a plank onto the opposite side. And again, feet are going to be stacked upon each other, elbow directly underneath your shoulder. You're going to hold yourself up as strong as you can, starting in 3, 2, 1, reach up high, hold the hips tall, and then when you're ready, reach underneath the body, and then bring yourself back up to that tall position. Reach your shoulder towards the floor as it rotates and your hand is reaching underneath your armpit, and then return back up and just check in with your body position. Have you found that realignment of the spine? And then bring yourself tall again. Now, you've got 15 seconds to go. If at any time you're starting to feel like you're struggling, just take a little breather. That's absolutely fine. Some of the options to make it a little bit easier: splitting your feet, lowering down onto your knees. These are all options that you've got if you're starting to struggle. And relax there. Let's come back into that boat pose to the star. So remember the options: heels and hands rested, balanced position. And if you can, we then extend into that star position where your arms and legs reach out and then bring yourself back up. Let's get you working. 45 seconds of work again. This is the second time that you've done these, so you should be finding maybe a little bit of core work happening. If you find that you get a little bit of shaking in your core, I'm going to call that the tremor of truth. I know you're working well. If you're finding that little bit of shaking, just where you find that your voice starts to wobble a little bit, maybe you feel like you're trying to hold your breath, but try not to. The best thing you can do is keep a regular breathing pattern. Breathe out as you reach out. Breathe in. Realign your spine. Exhale as you reach out. Inhale as you come in. Pause, and then repeat. Now, we've only got a last couple of repetitions here. And relax there. Okay, let's take you over onto your fronts into that pike position. Now, I said I was going to offer you a progression. So this one is, if you would like to challenge your arms and your upper body a little bit more, we take you into a press up each time as well. So let's give it a go. This is your basic move. Reaching for the toes back into that plank position. If you'd like to make it a little bit harder, add in the press up as well. Now, press up can be on the toes, could be on the knees. It can be every single repetition. It could be every other. I'm just wanting to give you the options to challenge your body in the best way that feels comfortable for you. So just keep the movement going and you pick the intensity. Just under 10 seconds left to go. So not long, maybe try a press up if you haven't yet. And relax there. Okay, we're going to get the mats out the way here. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to try and take your heart rates up a little bit higher, and we're going to push the cardio. Now, the first move we're going to do is called a prisoner squat. So hands to the side of the head, and I want you to squat, and I want you to have a go at pushing and jumping just 90 degrees. Now, if you don't feel comfortable with that range of movement, then just do the squat without the rotation. So you can just stay in the same place. Now, if you're with me with these little jumps, you're going to start to find that the arms, without using any momentum, almost make the exercise a lot more leg focused as well. So that can be quite challenging for the legs. So keep that range of movement going. You're coming just over to the last 10 seconds. Keep the depth. Lower yourself down as low as you feel comfortable, and then push off the floor in explosive power and react as you move your feet. Okay, relax there. Now, the next exercise we're going to do is called a push-off lunge. So we're going to go down to that lunge position that we had a look at in the warm-up, also in the first round of exercises. Now, this is the change. You're going to push up high and then reset down towards the floor. Let's get going. 45 seconds of work. And again, just working that one leg. So use the arms to help drive that dynamic movement. You're trying to create as much range of movement, as much height as possible. So really use the arms to drive tall. And then drive that knee up high. Try and push yourself again. Big range of movement. Now you're well over halfway. Now, if this starts to burn a little bit, you can shake the legs out if you need to. But if you're after the high heart rates, the calorie burn, the power as well, then try and push yourself a little bit quicker. Last 5 seconds of work to come. And rest there. Okay, just shake those legs out. Now, the last exercise we're going to do is called a speed skater. It's a dynamic movement from side to side. So we're going to drive your arms and push. 1 meter is good. 2 meters would be great. So see how far you can travel and try and challenge your heart rate as much as possible. Here we go. So for 45 seconds, this is your speed skater. Push yourself as much as you can from one side to the other. Keep that control. Now, as you start to use this one, I always encourage people to use their arms. This way, then you can start to use the arms to de-accelerate your momentum and to keep control as well. So do as much work as possible. You've got just over 15 seconds. See if you can leave yourself a little bit breathless here. This was the round where we're going to challenge your fitness. This is where we prepared you in the warm-up to push yourself now. Last 5. Keep strong. Keep that distance long. And relax there. Great job. Okay, we're going to have a look at those 3 exercises one last time. So the prisoner jump squats. Remember the first time we did them? We did a 90-degree rotation. This time, I've got a challenge for you to rotate 180 degrees all the way around. So push yourself off the floor. Let's get you working. So 180-degree rotation. Keeping your elbows high and elbows back. So you're not using any momentum this time. I want it to be raw power as you explode off the floor and rotate yourself around from one side to the other. Big range of movement, big explosive power. Keep that heart rate high. Make those legs really start to burn a little bit as they're challenged. Last 10 seconds. You pick the tempo. See if you can move quicker than me or just try and keep up. You pick the intensity. Great job. Okay, relax there. Let's take those push-off lunges. So this time, make sure you swap the legs over. I always find it's comfortable to swap over and face the opposite direction. Okay, 3 seconds, then we start to go again. 2, drive the knee up. Let's go. 45 seconds, explosive high knee. Reset yourself down to that lunge. Make sure the weight transfers into the back foot. That way then you can really load off that front foot and drive your knee high. Good work. Now keep that tempo up. This is where the heart rates start to climb. This is where you really start to challenge. One of the best ways to improve the shape and tone of all those muscles around the hips, so your glutes, your quads, all of these strong, stable muscles, this is one of those exercises which does them all at the same time. So a great way, even if you're a runner and you're looking to improve your athletic ability, or you play team sports, this is the exercise. Okay, relax there. Last one for today then. We've got this speed skater, and then we take you into some yoga and stretching. So up to you how hard you want to work now. You've got 5 seconds of recovery before we go. 2, 1, let's go. Be dynamic, push those arms. As you push from one side to the leg, or if you wanted to, push from one foot to the other and keep a foot off the floor. This will challenge your change of direction a little bit more. Again, a great one for the team sports, great one for toning up through the outside of the legs and the glutes as well. Giving you all the trade secrets here as to how to get the best workouts possible. Keep pushing yourself. Last 10 seconds now. Chance for you to push your heart rates as high as possible before we take you into a little bit of a cool down. Go on, give me the last couple. And relax there. Great job, everybody. Well done. We're going to grab a mat. Let your heart rates come back down a little bit. And we're just going to take you, first of all, through some up dogs and down dogs. So line the mat down onto the floor. Hands underneath the shoulders. And I want you to lower your hips all the way down. Roll your shoulder blades back and down. Now you can see I'm resting my knees onto the floor. So it's quite a stable position. Eyes looking up towards where the ceiling and the walls meet. Now I've got my toes tucked underneath my body. I'm going to push through my hands, lift my hips high, and turn this into a downward facing dog. And I'm just going to walk the heels, just so they start to feel like they're getting a stretch through the calves. Mainly because we have done some jumping work. Just want to make sure that those calves get eased out, releasing tension. Now let's bring you back into that up dog. But this time I'm not going to rest my knees onto the floor. Just going to enjoy that deeper stretch through the front of the hips. Feel the curve into my lower back. Start to extend through my spine. And then again, push through my hands into downward facing dog again. Holding the position this time as well. So not walking the heels, just thinking about lowering the heels towards the floor and lifting the hips high up towards the ceiling where they feel the stretch down for the back of the legs. You can also feel the work through the upper back. Now, lifting one foot up, you're going to swing that foot up towards your hand. Now, if it doesn't quite get there, physically move it, pick it up, shuffle it forwards, wiggle it forwards, whatever you need to do. Then reach your hand high up into the ceiling. Hold that deep stretch again. And then from here, that hand is going to come down inside the foot, step back to downward facing dog, and then opposite foot, again, takes that large step to the other side. Reach your hand high, push the back heel away. That's the key. Trying to create distance from the heel away from the hands. And then reaching that hand high. This is called the world's greatest running stretch. Bring the hand back down onto the floor, step back to downward facing dog. Now this time, rest your knees onto the floor. You're going to lower your hips down towards your heels. Start to creep and walk your fingertips forwards, just so you feel a greater stretch down the sides of your back. So from your underarms all the way down through the sides. And then from here, all we're going to do is bring your weight back up onto your feet and roll up through your spine. And just loosen out through the upper body. Let's take a stretch through the arms. So we're going to wrap the arms around an imaginary giant inflatable ball. Now with that inflatable ball, imagine if you were blowing into it, the ball gets bigger, your elbows move a little bit wider, and your hands start to feel like they're moving away from your chest. And this creates a larger stretch across the upper back. And then from here, wrap your arms around you. Think about interlocking your fingers or holding the hands. Lift your chin and chest tall so you get a stretch across the chest. And then from there, just slowly release it and loosen it up. Let's take you into a standing quadricep stretch. So if you want to hold on to something to give you a little bit of balance, that's fine. But if you can, take hold of one of the feet, have a slight bend in the standing foot, and just straighten up through the spine. Now push your foot into the palm of your hand and think about pushing the hip forward slightly. This way you'll get a bit of a stretch for the hip flexor and also through the front of your thigh as well. Okay, let's bring that down, shake it out, loosen it up, swap it over to the opposite side. And again, a slight bend in the standing foot, lengthen up through the spine, push the hip forward slightly. Great job. And then when you're ready, just slowly release it. Thank you very much for joining me for this Matrix Fitness workout. We'll be back again at 5 o'clock this evening, or on Thursday, 7:45 in the morning, 12 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the evening as well. Until then, take care everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.